Somebody else, why do you think founders in particular need to have access to that kind of power?
Entrepreneurship is all about walking by faith, not by sight.
Mm,
It takes a level of tenacity, perseverance, and consistency.
yeah, true that. I'll add to that failure of any type. Lose the game when you were in corporate America, didn't get the promotion. In business, in entrepreneurship, you will fail more than you succeed, period. And if anybody tells you other than that, buy this program, three quick steps, you too can be a wild success, is that's just flat out BS. I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years. Every week I fail more than I succeed constantly. The problem with failure is for many people, it's a sentence, it's a judgment when we make a mistake or we fail that causes us to lose or question our value. And you cannot be successful at entrepreneurship if you view it that way. So, for example, let's say you're networking, you're here to network and you want to meet some people and you connect with somebody who's in your target market on LinkedIn from here today, which hopefully you will do, and they ghost you. And you're over there going, oh, woe is me. Elizabeth didn't get back to me. I must not have a really good product. I must not be good at this. Oh, woe is me. That is not inner power. That is external power. I need that person to respond in order to feel like I'm good enough. And you cannot be successful. I don't think you can be successful as a leader thinking like that. I don't think you can be successful in business, but I can sure tell you, you cannot be successful as a founder if that is how you operate. So now we're going to really look at what I call power potential. Power potential is how much of the power that we have that we can access to achieve whatever we want. How much do you think you're using? I'm going to put some percentages up here: 0, 10, 25, 50, 75, 100. How much of your power potential over your mind and your body are you using on a regular basis? And then we're going to test it. And Lisa's going to let me know what comes in. Just put a percentage in there, no judgment. How much power potential are you using?
I got three 75s,
Good. That's great.
a 50, a 10.
No right, no wrong. All right, now we're going to test it because I think that I operate at 80 to 100% all the time. That's what I think. But a couple of things can happen. You lose a large client. Woo! Now all of a sudden, whoop, I drop all the way down, right? And I start, oh my God, I can't believe I did this, beat myself up with the I'm not good enough at, all that stuff. And that power potential, boom, falls. Another example, somebody criticizes you. Another thing about entrepreneurship, we think we're our own boss, which we are. You're going to get a lot of criticism from people you know, like, and trust, from potential clients, from leads that aren't going to choose you. You're going to have people judging your website and it's not good enough. You're going to have people telling you all the different ways that they know how to do it. What happens to you when somebody criticizes you? Does that power potential shrink? Or does it start to shrink and you catch it and you're like, oh, no, no, no. That's just their opinion. I can learn from their opinion, but it's game on for me. Third one is you experience cash flow issues. If you're an entrepreneur, you will experience cash flow issues. I don't care. I started some of these businesses with a lot of money and we still have cash flow issues. It's part of entrepreneurship. What happens when that happens to you? How do you respond? And for most of us, that power potential wanes really quickly. It's almost like a light and there's a dimmer switch on it. And when something external happens, it's like, ooh, my light's starting to go out. What I want to show you is how to reverse that. There's a neurobiological way that you can train yourself in order to catch that as soon as it starts. You lose a large client, this voices start, the oh, woe is me. You catch it and you reverse it. Somebody criticizes you, you don't get the you don't get the proposal. Somebody doesn't call you back. All that stuff. What I'm going to show you what Success Accelerator is a set of steps to basically engineer a neuro pathway that you can access where you can use more of that power potential. Because what happens to our thoughts is we start judging ourselves, we start, blah, blah, blah. Then we start thinking about the time I failed last week and the time after that that I failed and the time after that that I failed. And you just can't function that way. So, Lisa, are there any comments coming in or anything that you want to share before we get into this toolkit?
There were a few. I could read one of them. It's kind of
Good.
long. Founders need access to their inner power because entrepreneurship is full of challenges and pressures. Inner power provides them with the ability to make tough decisions, stay focused during crisis, face failure, learn from it, and inspire their team. Without it, founders can easily lose self-confidence or falter in the face of difficulties.
Love
This
it.
person says they're using a portion of their inner power and always striving to increase that potential, focusing on the goals and managing the reactions.
Love it. And that's exactly what you have to do. And I've been fascinated with power potential and mindset my whole life. And I was an athlete. I study athletes in particular. I study winning teams, study them like ridiculously crazy, study them. I am all up into Indiana's football team stuff right now, not only because I graduated from there, but because they right now are the epitome of this kind of winning mindset. So again, I'm older than most people. I remember this guy, one of my favorite basketball players. My one of my all-time favorite athletes is Lindsey Vonn. If you're watching the Winter Olympics, you're going to see her, but her story goes back a decade. She got injured in, I think it was 2017. They told her she would be lucky if she walked, much less ski. She made it to the 2018 Olympics and medaled. That was the 2018 Olympics. Then she went to the next Olympics, and now she's in the 2024 Olympics or 2026 Olympics again. She's one of my favorite athletes to study. This guy, handsome man, he's got just some amazing energy. Tom Brady, again, one of the best quarterbacks. I was so happy when he went to my hometown of Tampa. Patrick Mahomes and Diana Nyad. She's the one that in her 60s, on her sixth try, swam from Cuba to Key West, and then Serena Williams. Well, one of the things that athletes have is they have a way of training themselves and training their mindset, and many of them use a phrase or a mantra. Um, Michael Jordan's was winning is fun. Lindsey Vonn, her mantra that got her from that 2017 to the 2018, where they didn't think she would make it to the Olympics, hers was, oh, yes, I can. And you're going to see some videos. I was telling somebody this the other day. There's a video of her out right now where they show her recovery and they show her winning. That was back in 2017, her recovery. And then she was in the 2018 Olympics and then 2022 and now 2026. I mean, she's just amazing. Patrick Mahomes, he's really lost his mindset right now. If you study him, he's not the same guy. He wasn't the same guy in last year's Super Bowl, but his mantra is just be great today. When he makes a mistake, he shakes it off and he has a little routine that he does. And then he just shakes his head, yes. And he says, just be great today. This next play, just be great today. Diana Nyad, this became my mantra in 2018, was find a way, and that was hers. And then Serena, if you've ever watched her play, she'll hit and she'll say yes, yes, yes. So the idea of a mantra and having a mantra for your goal really does matter, and athletes do it. But I noticed leaders in business have it too. Oprah, I've studied her. Hers was, I am the master of my fate. Her new mantra, which I love, is look how far you've come, girl. Look how far you've come. And anytime she falls short of her goal, she says she doesn't beat herself up. She's like, girl, look how far you've come. And that's her way of not attaching to the goal, but really looking at the progress. Mark Cuban here in Dallas, one of the best leaders in business that is in our area. His mantra is sales cure all. My team gets sick of hearing this because something will go wrong. I'm like, hey guys, sales cure all. Let's go close a client, and they're like, oh, here she goes again. Whitney Wolf, this is one of my favorite stories for those of you that are aspiring female leaders. Look her up. Whitney Wolf was part of another company. I'm not going to list the company's name, and some things fell apart. She left and she went and she started a competitive company. She tried to raise venture and private equity capital, and everybody turned her down. And every time she walked out, she was like, you'll see, you'll see. Now, today, she has an incredibly successful company, and those people that believed and invested in her are winning. And then this one, I don't know if you remember these guys. These were the kids that were trapped in a cave. They were a soccer team, and the guy in the center, this is the movie version of it, was their coach. And they were in a cave without food or water, way back in the cave. They couldn't get out of the cave because the cave flooded for 18 days. And that coach taught them a mantra that said fear isn't real. He taught them to meditate, and they had very little food, very little water. And then I think around day 8, somewhere around eight or 10, they one of the divers got to them with supplies and oxygen tanks that they would share because they were running out of oxygen, and eventually got them through it. But the coach is really credited with teaching them this mantra because, I mean, they're kids, right? They're scared to death. I mean, this is not a good situation at all. And he taught them how that fear is just a response in your body, it's not real. And he taught them how to really rewire their nervous system. It's a great movie. I think it's called 13 Lives. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. So, this idea is that you can train yourself to rewire your mindset, and in particular the neuropathway is what you're thinking and what's happening in your body. You can train yourself to overcome that, to override a negative neuropathway and to build a new neuropathway in order to achieve whatever your goal is. So I've been fascinated with this, and I'm constantly studying, well, how did Indiana do that? How did they win all of those games? And how did they beat everybody they weren't supposed to beat? And how did these two last football teams get as far as how did Seattle win that game? And what I found is that there's a set of things that occur. And I'm going to take you back, going to have you guys take yourself back to a moment in time where you will remember that you already have this. I'm going to tell you my story. And while I'm telling you my story, I want you to really think about your story. So, the first time that I realized I had this power was I was a young adult. By the way, we were very, very poor. Very poor. I was abused in every way possible. My parents were raging alcoholics, and I had a really, really difficult childhood, but I escaped that environment and made it to college by just a lot of luck and a lot of grit, and found that I was actually quite smart. And I went to college, went to Indiana University, and was on the campus of Indiana University Southeast. And I was on the dean's list, the chancellor's list, and I was doing great. And my last semester, I had avoided chemistry because I was not good in science and math, and I was a education major. And I had avoided this hard class called chemistry, avoided, and I had to take it. And I had one semester left, or I would not graduate. And this was back in 1987 when I graduated. So I sign up for the class. I sit down. I'm shaking like a leaf, and it was one of those professors. We've all had them where 50% of you are going to drop the class at the end of today, And, and then in 2 weeks, another 20% are going to drop the class. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm never going to do it. I'm never going to do it. I'm just shaking, and maybe one of you will get an A and everybody else, I'm going to hurt your GPA. It was like, took pride in that, right? So I leave at the end of the class, and where am I headed? I'm going to the registrar's office. I'm dropping the class, right? I mean, I'm like, oh God, no. And I'm what, 19, 20 years old. And then I got about halfway there and I saw a bench and I put my book bag down. And I remember this bench when I've been back on campus. I went back to the same bench because this was a magical moment for me. And I said, wait a minute, I've come this far. I've got I don't know what my GPA was. It was like a 3.89 or something, really, really good. And I was like, BS. No, I'm going to find a way to do it. And I stood up and this power just fell in my body, like from head to toe. I could feel it. And I started stomping. Instead of going to the registrar's office, I went to the library, climbed the steps, like Sylvester Stallone in Rocky. And I'm like, I'm going to find a way. And as I got to the top of the steps, there was one of those billboards or one of those boards, with little phone numbers. And I looked over there, and sure enough, it was a chemistry tutor. If you need help passing chemistry, with one of those little pull down things and a phone number. And I'm like, yes. So I go in, I go to the payphone, I put my money in the payphone, I call the guy and I'm like, I'm in the library right now. When can you get here? I want to hire you as a tutor. I'm going to pass this class. Boom. Not only did I pass the class, I got an A minus. I was the only English major in the history, according to him, to get an A minus. And it was the most beautiful thing, but it wasn't the A minus, guys. What it was the accessing of this power. I felt it that day. I felt it in my head. I felt it in my body. And it was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced is feeling full of powerful. I call it feeling powerful, feeling full of power. And true power happens when we act before we know we can succeed. True power happens when we act before we know we can succeed. And so I want you to take a minute to recall a time when you felt that type of inner power. And I want you to access it. And then I'm going to show you how to create it. Really, really feel it as you're writing it down. And then I'm going to show you a methodology to create it on command. I'm going to give you guys about a minute to do that. It's going to feel good to write that down. And afterwards, I want you to keep journaling, write all about it. Get yourself back into that state where you're like, yeah, I can do this. While you're doing that, I'm going to give you a quote. And this quote is powerful because to achieve something, we wait to feel ready. I need to feel ready to reach out to those prospects. I need to feel ready to grow my business. I need to feel ready to do this. I need to feel ready. That isn't how it works. Readiness is a decision that you make. And when you decide, that's what I did that day is I decided I'm doing this. I wasn't ready. I mean, I was a terrible student in high school because of all the trauma in my life. I was still overcoming a lot of that trauma. I wasn't ready to get an A minus in chemistry. I mean, that's why I had kicked that can down the road for 3.5 years. I wasn't ready. What I did though is I decided if you go back to what you were writing down right now, you made the decision, you were doing it. And that is the key. So you have the power to create whatever it is that you want. You have it right now. You just have to make the decision and you have to make it not just, I want to do this, but you have to make it with a full throttle from head to toe. I'm doing this. And that is what it is. And that there's no gray area here. This is not, I hope I do it. I want to do it. You're like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And that decision is where the success and the breakthrough comes from. And the mind is the single most powerful tool you have, not the brain, but the mind. The mind is how it's called metacognition. And metacognition is when you're paying attention to what you're thinking and feeling and you don't accept it, you change it and you make it be what you want it to be. That's called metacognition. Look it up. The metacognition requires you to use your mind, which the brain is part of that, but it's also your neural pathways. That's the mind accesses your brain, and but it also accesses the neural pathways between the mind and the body, and it is the single most powerful tool that we have. There's no magic to it. There's no quick fix. You train it. You train your mind and you train your neural pathways to hit your goal. You don't wait to hit the goal in order to move forward. You train your mind and your body by deciding first and then moving yourself into a state where you can achieve whatever it is that you want. So we've proven this idea that methods and mindsets win. So here's some of our statistics. 1 year in, when we started in July of 2020. 1 year in, 53.4% of the members using had doubled. By July of 2022, it was 77%. 1 year later, all we added there was these tools that I'm teaching you: Pure Confidence, Success Accelerator, Leap, Success Switch. The only difference between that was we added these tools. And then between July of 2022 to 2025, we went from 77% to 88.9. What did we do? Mindset tools. Every member that's part of ShiftGo, part of your curriculum is breakthrough sessions with a breakthrough coach, collabs where we work on mindset, Pure Confidence, Success Accelerator. It's part of your curriculum. Why? Because you have to train your mindset in order to achieve your goal. You can't wait to feel ready. You decide that you're ready, and then you act as if you are ready. And then what happens is you start to move forward. So we've proven it. I'm going to give you one of those tools today. And it starts with really understanding. Well, it's actually two, but they go together. These are two of the tools that we teach every single member in ShiftCo, and I call them power tools. The first thing is you have to first change the negative mindset. Every one of us here has some kind of negative story running. Everybody has it. You have to first change that. And then the second thing is you have to know how to create a new mindset. But most people try to create a new mindset on top of a negative mindset, and that doesn't work. So let me show you what I mean by a negative mindset. So for example, I want to feel successful in my business. I hear this all the time. Terry, I want this to work. You want it to work or you intend it to work? And the wanting to feel successful is not going to get you there. What you first have to do is you have to say, what mindset is keeping me from achieving this goal? Not what do I need to learn? It's what mindset is keeping me from hitting this goal. From my research, I've found that if you first change the part of your mindset that's stopping you, the story you're telling yourself over and over and over again, that story, you have to change that first. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Then you put on top of that the positive mindset, but it starts first with altering what's stopping you. From my research, I've found that these negative mindsets originate in a part of the brain called the amygdala. And the amygdala is the dumb part of your brain. And I mean that lovingly. The amygdala is, it's on rote. It's just running programs. And it's every time you feel you have an emotion, rejection, fear, it takes you back to that time when you were rejected or that time when you should feel afraid. And it ultimately creates a program that's like a script and it plays over and over again. There are 5 negative programs that stop us. The first one, 98%, and I've studied thousands, probably 5,000 people by now. 98% of people have a script running in their amygdala that is, I'm not enough. And I had that script for a large portion of my life because my parents told me I was stupid, I was beaten, and I felt like I wasn't good enough. 98% of the people I've studied have this program. So what you have to do is you have to reverse this program before you can put a new program on top of it. Kind of like if you think of like your DVR and your TV, it's like your DVR is full and you have to delete a program before you put a new program on it. It's kind of like that. Okay. The second program is the I can't program. And the I can't program is powerless. I can't do that. I can't learn that. I can't learn how to network. I can't learn how to, overcome my fear. I can't do this. And that is, you just can't get there as an entrepreneur with that. Third program is dangerous. It's sneaky. I call it the Atlas program. And the Atlas program is I have to be the one to do this. I have to be the one to make this work. And you feel like you're going to save the world and you take too much responsibility and you beat yourself up constantly. I have to hit my goal. And anything short of perfection is failure. Also, not a healthy program as a founder. Fourth one is the failure program. Here I go again. I'm doing it again. I didn't follow through on what I said. Here I go again. And that script is running you. And then the fourth one is the who am I to think I can do this? Who am I to think I can do this? Who am I to think I can learn this new thing? Who am I to think I can achieve this business? And that's called the imposter program. Many people call it the imposter syndrome. So the point here is we all have one or more of these. There are others, but these are the top five from my research. I had all five of them when I first started studying this in my 20s and 30s. I had all five of these, all five of these. And I had to slowly figure out, which is why I turned it into a method, how to rewire these, because you first have to delete the old program before you put the new program on top of it. And that's the thing that most people get wrong when they're working with a growth mindset or they're working to learn something new is they try to put the new thing on top of a negative program. It's almost like if you were trying to plant, a plant, but you put it into bad soil. It's kind of like that. So what I'm going to show you, the first tool is how do you rewire that? We call this success switch. And basically, and it's a way to train your brain. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to stop the old program. So the old program, think of it, it's going, it's running, it's like a treadmill. You're not good enough. Here you go again. You're doing it again. You're failing again. Remember last time when you failed? Remember last week when you failed? Remember when you were a little kid and you failed and it's just running you. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. So what we have to do is we have to interrupt the amygdala because that sucker is running. It's in fifth gear. It's like an engine. And the prefrontal cortex is kind of like the boss of the brain. And the prefrontal cortex will train the amygdala if you can stop the amygdala. But you have to get the amygdala to stop first before you can train it. So we have to get the amygdala to go into neutral. Again, think of a car going, negative program, negative program. You can't, if you try to do something, you're going to blow your gearbox out. So you have to get the amygdala to go into neutral first before you can begin to retrain it. So the way that you do that is it's 3 steps. The first thing that you do is you acknowledge the emotion under the program. And it's fascinating. You're going to do it with me. You're going to be shocked at how well this works. And we call this success switch. And so you say out loud and put yourself on mute to do this. Make sure you're on mute. I want you to do it out loud. Is you say it's a prompt, and you're going to say the truth is I feel. So if I did it right now, I would say the truth is I feel, and I might say tired, or I might say frustrated or afraid, or I might even say a little excited. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be positive or negative. Doesn't matter. And so do that with me now. The truth is I feel, and then you're going to pause for about 20 to 30 seconds, and you're going to feel your brain start to slow down. So do that with me now. The truth is I feel, whatever, no judgment, just notice your brain. You're going to feel it downshift. Fourth gear, third gear, second gear, first gear, neutral. Notice how that feels. Metacognition, pay attention. Wow, that feels a lot better. Huh, that's kind of cool. All right, so all we've done is got the amygdala to stop. And the funny thing about the amygdala, when you say that phrase, it basically goes, oh, okay. I need some new information. It turns to the boss of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, and say, I'm stopped now. What else do you want me to do? And then we activate the prefrontal cortex in a very specific way through four breaths. And I want you to do them specifically. You're going to breathe in through your nose. Breath one, we're going to do it 4 times. Breathe in through your nose and then breathe out of your mouth. Notice how you feel. The prefrontal cortex is turning on the parasympathetic nervous system, calming you down. That feels better. Breath two, do it a little deeper. Probably feeling a little lightheaded. Parasympathetic nervous system is putting in dopamine, serotonin, a lot of serotonin. And you're like, whoa, well, I'm feeling a little lightheaded. That's good. It's putting it in your bloodstream. The amygdala's flowing through the amygdala. Breath three. And then breath four. And with breath four, I kind of like to go, ah, ah. And now what's happened is the mind and the body is relaxed. Step one stops the amygdala and puts it in neutral. Step two is turns on the parasympathetic nervous system, relaxes the amygdala, relaxes your nervous system. And now you're in this total state of readiness where you can completely reprogram it. And that's when we go to step three. For step three, you're just going to claim a new empowering thought. The one that I like to use is this would be like a mantra is I have the power to create what I want. And I almost kind of picture a little Rocky stance. I have the power to create what I want. And I close my eyes and I picture the most powerful me. I picture that girl on the bench at Indiana University Southeast grabbing her book bag and stomping. I remember that power. I feel that power in my body. And now what's happened is I've just begun to program the amygdala to have a new neural pathway. I basically stopped the old one, and now I've just planted the seed of the new one by claiming that new I have the power to create what I want. I have all sorts of little mantras. I'm a money magnet. Yes, I can. You go, girl. And I depending on what I'm feeling, I use different ones, but that it plants a seed in the amygdala that says we're not going to buy into that old program. We're going to believe this new program. And so it's 3 steps. And by the way, Lisa, we'll make sure we send you. I have like a little guide that goes along with this, so you have all the steps written out. You'll also get a copy of this recording, but it's acknowledge, breathe, and claim. Very, very powerful. It's called the Success Switch. And what you've just done is you've altered the negative program and now you've planted the seed. All we've done is plant the seed for the new success program. We haven't built the whole success program yet. I'm going to show you how to do that next. But we've planted the seed and now it's like, okay, now I'm going to start believing and I can. Let's say I can was your mantra instead of I'm afraid. And what we're doing now is we're going to access neuroplasticity and we're going to start reinforcing this new neural pathway and training it. And all you've got to do is the process that I just gave you, plus this next step, twice a day for 7 days. We've tested this with now over 1,000 people, twice a day for 7 days with this new belief. And all of a sudden, you're going to gain momentum because you've instilled a new neural pathway. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add to it. So success switch is stopping the old program and planting a seed for a new one. So what you're going to do is this little 7 day challenge with me, and you're going to set a goal. What do you want to achieve in 7 days? It can be a new client, it can be money, it can be, anything that you want, overcoming a fear. You're going to set a goal for the next 7 days, and you're going to do the success switch plus this next step that I'm going to give you. And by the way, entrepreneurial goals are guideposts. They're not goalposts. There's no winning in entrepreneurship. There's just evolving. And so the goal is really just an intention for what you want in 7 days. This isn't a 30-day thing. You're going to do it in 7 days. You'll be shocked at how well this works. And I'm going to follow up. I know everybody that's here. I'm going to follow up with you. You're going to set an intention for what you want in 7 days. What's one thing you want to create in 7 days? Pick it. And you're going to do this. You're going to do this process twice a day. So we have our goal. You have your mantra, right? So you need that mantra, that step that I just gave you. Come up with something that resonates for you. Yes, I can. I have the power. I'm a money magnet. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Find a mantra that works for you. Study some of those athletes. Study your favorite athletes. Find out what your favorite athlete is, your favorite business person, what Google, what's their mantra. Find a mantra, and the mantra is a way to anchor it begins to build that neural pathway faster when you have that phrase. Okay. And this is part of the Success Accelerator. So my mantra is yes, or my mantra is, yes, I will. And it's the mindset becomes stronger. Tom Brady's is one play at a time, one play at a time. And again, anything about football, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. One play at a time, one play at a time, one play at a time. Serena, I talked about hers, was yes. Patrick Mahomes is just be great today. Lindsey Vonn, follow her these Olympics. She's one of my all-time favorite athletes. And so, yours could be, I've got this. I've got this. This 7-day goal thing, I've got this. And the mantra basically starts kind of taking that seed and helping it grow roots. And so you're starting to go boom, boom, boom. I've got this. I've got this. And you're repeating that mantra when you do that success switch. And then we're going to add a couple of things to it. The other thing that I've learned from watching athletes is you also need to shift your mood and how you're feeling. And mood shifts basically elevate your energy and sends different hormones and chemicals into your bloodstream and into your brain, which shifts your moods. It's one of the reasons why great teams have different rituals before the game, at halftime, and in between plays, is they're and patting each other in the back and high-fiving each other, and those chains that they put around their neck and all those little gimmicky things that athletes do. The purpose of them is to shift how they feel, to shift their mood. So you want to figure out, how do you shift your mood as well? And what I mean by mood is, how do you get yourself in the state of, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I've got this. How do you get yourself in the state? I have a couple of techniques. I use the Rocky punches, boom, boom, boom. I'll jump up and down. I've got phrases. I've got music that I use. I'm going to come back to music in a minute. But you want to use something physical. The skin is the largest organ in the body. And that's why you see a lot of high-fiving and stuff in sports, and a lot of the team cheers and things like that. The science behind it is because it shifts mood. Laughter, when I'm afraid, I will just break out in a cackle and a laugh that is the hilarious thing you've ever, or when I fail really big, like, ha ha, my God, that was the dumbest mistake I've ever made. I cannot believe I did that. Because it shifts my mood, and then I'm not focused on the failure. I'm focused on what I can learn from it. So that's what we mean by mood. And mood builds what's called a state of certainty. You're either, and there's no or here. There's no and here. You're either in a positive state of certainty or you're in a negative state of certainty. There's no middle ground with certainty. You're either thinking you can do it or you're thinking you can't. There is no middle ground with being in a state of certainty. And so a positive state of certainty is when it's a relaxed state of trusting, combined with the expectation that I have the power to create what I want. And my secret to success, if you Google me, as Signetti, the coach from Indiana, said, Google me, you'll find I either win or I learn. And I either win or I learn. Why? Because I keep myself in a positive state of certainty constantly. I do not allow myself to stay in a negative state of certainty, like I'm certain I'm going to fail. I don't care what it is. I put myself in a positive state of certainty by these tools that I'm sharing with you today. And how do you do that? You build it with focus and practice. It's not magic. You know, when I create the little drops that you put on yourself to magically be in a state of certainty, I'm going to charge a heck of a lot more than our Shiftco membership price of $235 a month. It's going to be a lot more when I create that. But you build it with focus and practice. I've trained my mind and my body to move myself in a state of certainty no matter what's happening, no matter if I have cash flow issue, no matter if I have debt, no matter if it's working, no matter if it's not. I've trained my mind and my body to move myself into a positive state of certainty, a relaxed state of trusting combined with an expectation, not that I will win. Pay attention to these words, words matter, but an expectation that I have the power to create what I want. So if I fail and something isn't working, that's not the end of the story, because I'm going to move myself into the expectation that I have the power to create what I want. And I build that every single day. This practice that I'm sharing with you, I do it twice a day, every single day without fail, focus and practice. So we've got our goal, we've got the mantra, whatever yours is, pick it. The mood shifts, laughter, music, movement. We're going to get into music and movement in a second. Rocky punches, you know, throwing your hands up in the air, jumping up and down, clapping, doesn't matter. Shift your mood. You have 100% control over your mood. 100%. Fine. You know, look at your favorite athletes, watch the Olympics. What are they doing to shift their mood? What's their practice? And then the last one, also because the skin is the largest organ in the body, as you're building the neural pathway, if you move to it, and particularly if you move to music, you seal in the new belief and the new mood. So that Rocky punch that I'm doing, that hands in the air, one of my favorite songs is Champion by Carrie Underwood, and that's my state song, and I play that song and I'm like, you know, I am a champion, and I'm throwing my hands in the air. That whole combination shifts, and now all of a sudden the neuro pathway that I have is really hard to beat. Anybody that knows me knows I'm going to get knocked down, I'm going to get right back up. And I'm going to get knocked down, I'm going to get right back up. Not because I have a lot of grit, but I do, but because I've trained my mind and my body. I've trained it every single day like a world-class entrepreneurial athlete does. And I believe that as entrepreneurs, you're an athlete training yourself. I've trained my mind and my body to believe what I want to believe, and to believe that my goal is imminent, to believe that I have the power to achieve what it is that I want to achieve. So movement creates a neuro pathway faster. When I throw my arms in the air, when I do those Rocky punches, and I do that mantra, and I do that mood, and I do the movement, it creates the neuro pathway faster. And that's why, and if you add music to it, it really ratchets it up, and have a state song. That's how you get there faster. So what you're going to do is you're going to alter your negative programs first using the success switch, ABC, do just like we said, and then you're going to do your mantra. You're going to have a song, you're going to throw your hands in the air, you're going to shift your mood, and you're going to do this process twice a day for 7 days against your goal, aligned with your goal. I'm going to check in with you guys throughout the week, about midweek, and then within the week, whether or not you hit your goal. And that's how it works. I'll wrap up with this. There's 3 ways that we can support you. If you think you're ready to join Shiftco, email me. There's my email address there. Lisa will drop it into the chat. I'll give you what we call a sample of our program. It's called Inside Shiftco. It will be a sample of who we are and how it works. If you want a free coaching session, we'll also give you my calendar, and you can experience what it's like to work directly with me and others in Shiftco. Or if you're not ready to do either one of those, you can continue to attend events. We're here to serve you no matter what. And speaking of events, a great event on February 4th will teach you a process called authentic selling. And then on February 19th, we'll cover pure confidence. So that is Success Accelerator. It's been an honor to serve everybody. We look forward to sending you a copy of this recording, and I will follow up with you to see how your goals are coming. Thanks, everybody.